Hello, Morongo Basin and listeners around the world online at Z107.7fm.com. This is your Z107.7 local news for Sunday, February 22nd, 2026. Back in the late 80s, my dad and I were driving to somewhere outside of San Bernardino. My sister had joined the Army and she was stationed there for a brief time. I don't really remember much from the trip, just two things: waking up in the hot sun in the back seat, feeling impossibly thirsty, and spotting my first honest-to-God tumbleweed. I remember looking out the car window and watching it roll and bounce down the highway. I couldn't believe it. Weren't these things only in cartoons and westerns? Now, of course, I see them all the time. One night while driving home late on 62, I swear I saw a tumbleweed wait for the light at Palomar before rolling across the highway. It even stayed in its lane. Salsola tragus, or prickly Russian thistle, is an invasive thorny bush that is thought to have arrived in South Dakota in the late 1870s when farmers were planting Russian flaxseed. The bushy plant is briefly green and edible before it dries out, dies, detaches itself from the root, and hitches a ride on any passing wind to spread thousands of spiky, painful seeds along its root. And like many in America in the 1800s, the tumbleweeds headed west to California, where they're now our problem.
Watching tumbleweeds go down the street to those houses down there and going, this isn't right. They're nasty stickers and my dog gets them in his feet. Most of the time I walk around barefoot, but now with these tumbleweeds, it makes it hard to be in my yard.
I too appreciate walking in my yard in my bare feet.
Norman lives in Yucca Valley, and if you drive north on Balsa Avenue past the Stater Bros and keep an eye to your left, you'll see the source of Norman's grief, a 48-acre property just on the other side of the road that looks like a nature preserve for invasive plants. All the famous ones are here: Sahara mustards, London rocket, red brome, and hundreds of tumbleweeds. Each year when the wind picks up, those tumbleweeds break loose in the wind and head across the street, stack up on Norman's house and his neighbors' fences, yards, and even roofs.
You know, it builds up like this, built up 6 feet, but it built all the way up, and then the wind would take it and they'd go over.
On the day I visited Norman's neighborhood, it was one of the first days before the big windstorm kicked up last week. We drove around the neighborhood and he showed me fences and other things that people have tried to put in to stop the annual tumbleweed migration.
Yeah, I lived in Apple Valley, and there was tumbleweeds, but not like this.
They just kind of passed through.
Yeah, well, there just wasn't the quantity.
He says it can take a couple of hours to clean up the mess, and burning all the tumbleweeds still leaves seeds by the thousands, a common problem with invasive weed eradication. The very act of eliminating them causes more each year, and since 2013, Norman has had to deal with it every spring.
Beautiful.
This is all kale. This is a kale. This is another kind of kale.
It's going like gangbusters.
Yeah, that's tree collard greens.
That garden was enclosed in a fence inside of his backyard because tumbleweeds can make their way back there too. He showed me photos of how tumbleweeds will stack up on the fences almost like a ramp, launching the spiky nuisance into the air and landing everywhere. I first heard about Norman's issue at the January 20th Yucca Valley Town Council meeting, where he asked the town council to come take a look at the property across from him. He says that Jeff Droz has stopped by, and Norman made a follow-up comment at the last town council meeting as well. That 48-acre parcel that's the source of all the frustration is zoned industrial and is currently up for sale. Norman says that after years of dealing with the issue and outreach to the investor who owns the property, he isn't very optimistic that someone's going to maintain the land while it remains up for sale. Norman says he's also reached out to code enforcement, but so far that hasn't been helpful. Yucca Valley's town code has a section in it that seems to address the very issue Norman and his neighbors face each year. Yucca Valley Municipal Code 6.04 says it's unlawful for anyone owning, leasing, renting, occupying, or managing any property in the town to maintain or fail to maintain the property in such a manner containing weeds, uncontrolled growth of vegetation, brush, dry grasses, etc. Property owners and or tenants are responsible for maintaining their yards as well as vacant property. The fire hazards that tumbleweeds create also fall under San Bernardino County's Fire Hazard Abatement Program, where the county will do a survey of a property and issue warnings and eventually fines if the property isn't cleaned up. Until the town, county, or property owner responds, it's up to Norman and his neighbors to keep the tumbleweeds at bay.
It's a full-time job taking care of their weeds.
Yeah, it doesn't pay very well though, I bet.
No, it doesn't pay at all. It costs.
Reporting for Z107.7 News, I'm Robert Hayden.